Yeah, so the rest of folks who can be here can still see the recording. And it will only be, distributed to people who are within this group. Just FYI. And then let me start sharing. Oh, okay. There we go. And
it's just, there's all this pressure, and sometimes it feels like it's right up on me, and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there.
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing.
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See,
out.
you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you.
Come on, if you would just
Don't.
okay. All right. I hope you enjoy that. I came across that video actually literally yesterday, and I watched it. I was like, oh my God, it's so relatable. It's so relevant to what we're learning here. Oh my God. And you're back on, Liz. Great. So does anyone want to share like what you see in that video that might be relevant?
I guess listening to other person.
Listen to that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess avoiding the most obvious thing.
Right. Sometimes, other people sees it, or like in this video, we even know it's there, but we're like, oh, that's not a problem. Forget about it, right? and a perfect analogy, right? The nails in the head is just like the fingers, right? That we experienced that in the last session. It is there, we feel it, but sometimes, even if we know we're there, it's there, we might not want to do anything about it, right? So like Shilpa said, it's important sometimes, even if you are in level 1, you just want to be listened to, not necessarily, be moved around different energy levels. And sometimes it might be just so obvious once you remove it, you're willing to remove it, right? Then who knows what will happen. Yeah, Pat, you want to say something?
Yeah, the other thing that struck me is that in addition, she didn't want to talk about the nail. She just wanted to be heard. And what I was thinking is, sometimes you have to listen to people, or you have to be heard, and then you can bring up, the nail thing. What do you think? You know what I mean? And you have to give her the space first.
I hear you.
She's ready.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a really good one, right? People always want to be listened to. And oftentimes, I think, at least for me, like as an engineering leader, so often like our default is to see problems and immediately we're like, let me fix it for you, right? And oftentimes, just like you said, Pat, having that connection of deep listening, and people are actually way more open to you suggesting, what might not be obvious to them, or what they might not, wanted to move forward before. and
Right.
it can be different with that connection. Great. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do, because I've been watching that video at least 5 times since I found it yesterday. It's just so hilarious. Okay.
You're gonna put the link in the chat in the channel?
I will, and yeah, I'm gonna.
I mean, you don't
also-
have to do it now, but
Yeah. I will, and I'm also gonna share like slides and basically most links to the things that I cover in this workshop, so you will have it.
thanks.
Great, no problem. And let me start presenting my screen. Okay, so there we go. And I want to move you around so I can see you too. All right, awesome. So in the last workshop, we start with, energy, what's energy, and 2 types of energy, catabolic energy and anabolic energy. So we started with the draining energy, right? That one of the reasons that you all are drawn here, because we all have sometimes level 1 and level 2 energy. So level 1 is the lens of victim, right? I lose, I don't have energy to do anything, I'm stuck, right? And level 2 is the lens of conflict, where we have a lot of anger around, really like anything around us. And so that's just the phase of like really being focusing on yourself. So it's actually pretty draining. And then we also cover level 3. From there, we start to take responsibility back. So in the win-lose analogy, level 1 is I lose, level 2 is you lose, level 3 is I win. If you win, that's fine too, I don't care. But the most important thing is for me to do anything I need to ensure a win. So that we start to get into the energy of like cooperating with others too. So I'm gonna talk about level 4 to 7 today, and then bring you through an example of how those 7 level energy show up differently, even when we are only like looked at one example. And then I want to basically open the time for coaching and answering questions, because the more when we learn all about this, it's basically information, right? It only becomes insights and also the action that you can take when you really start to, put that into your muscle, practicing it, things like that. So I want to have some time for coaching and answering questions too, and then we will wrap. Okay. So the next level is level 4. So level 4, the lens is concern, especially concern for others. So in the win-lose analogy is you win. The core thought at this level is concern for others. I talk about it. We people who resonating from level 4, they come from a heart space and make deep connections. So they're great problem solvers. So like caregivers, like here, Mother Teresa, doctors, nurses. Therefore, the feelings can be fairly like selfless, compassion, and gratitude, right? To be in the position to actually help others. And if there is, okay, and then the action is being, caring and supporting others. The one thing here that I want to call out is that at this level, there's still judgment, because you see others as having problems that needs to be fixed. And most importantly, probably like they cannot fix it themselves. So in that sense, it's also a form of judgment. And the advantage at this level is that because people do care about helping and serving others, so it actually feel really great, right? To be supporting and also making a differences. The disadvantage, and I really want to emphasize this because I know so many of the women plus like engineering leaders, this can be our default. the disadvantage for level 4 is that if without establishing healthy boundaries, the tendency of level 4 is to place everyone else's needs ahead of your own, or get pulled into other people's drama. So this could result in basically you taking on too much and then dropping into catabolic energy level because of the feeling of overwhelmed, which is level 1, or frustrated, which is level 2, if things are out of balance. I feel there's so many times at work where, I just give, and in the end, I'm like, why do I have so many things to do? Or like, I'm just get frustrated, like, why couldn't people just, do good work themselves, things like that. So I'm curious, where do you notice level 4 energy show up in your life? You can either type in chat, or we're a small group, feel free to just unmute and speak. Motherhood, yes, I feel that one. I think some people even mention on what causing them stress. Kids and family is a pretty big one, and yeah, in there, motherhood is really one of the main thing when it comes to family. Anyone else want to share? I feel like I'm pushing you out to speak up, and mostly because if, like I said, if we don't do anything, it's just information. But if we try to really relate to what's being covered here, then you get a lot more out of it. Thank you, Pat. A lot of ambiguity at work. And Pat, how is that level 4 for you?
Well, so the thing is that, that I feel that people are, need guidance. And so, and it's true, they do, because certain, rules are changing, right? And so, so some people are still charging ahead with the status quo, and maybe that's not right. So you have to kind of go take care of that. But then some people are kind of frozen in inaction, and that's not right either. Do you know what I mean? So as a leader, you have to at least get them over the hump of, oh my gosh, what, you have to reframe. So they have a new operating context.
And it's often very important in the changing environment, right, to make sure people know what's going on. And in that case, as a manager, we often feel like the burden is on us, right, to being able to making sure people know what's going on, etc., etc. So in that sense, even if you still have that emotional burden, oftentimes like layoffs or whatever that happens, but you still need to be the one that's the stable one, stabling the ship, making sure it's still sailing toward the right direction. So I hear you on that path. And Sushata?
I think I learned one thing very early in the management, kind of having gone through this process. As a manager, I thought I could solve every problem, every engineer's problem. So the healthy boundary is very important. I think it's very important not to become like a person who's open for hearing every vent or every pain, because one is, we are not in a position to fix it. Second is, it may not be the expectation out of us. So I think as managers, we are there to support versus trying to fix every issue an engineer is facing. So I got very deeply involved. Some of the engineers who were going through a lot of personal problems, so out of empathy, I kind of went too far in supporting them. But what I realized in that process is, in a team of 14 people, I probably invested 80 to 70% of my energy on 1 or 2 people that needed. And I landed up not giving enough attention to everybody else.
Yeah. Wow.
So now I've learned to say no, or I've learned to say when to stop.
Mm,
I won't be able to help the engineer.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And you see, it's so easy to kind of like wrap up in like what you can do, right? But oftentimes, like I shared in the disadvantage, even though this might be your default, but when you are too overwhelmed, right, you drop into lower level of energy, and in that way, like you might not be, functioning like the best you can, and in a way, your team is also impacted, right? So it's really important when we talk about leadership, and even when we talk about concern, we always remember we are also, there.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Cool. So let's move to level 5, and it's getting better and better, because we all know that, okay, level 4 is great, right? We care for others, we solve problems, but there are so many other levels you can get into without, being exhausted. So level 5 is the lens of reconciliation. So when we use the win-lose analogy, it is win-win or no deal. And with this lens, people see opportunities, not problems. So things are not good or bad, right or wrong, because every situation is viewed as an opportunity to learn something that can help you adjust course and move forward, right? So it's very similar to growth mindset. We always get to learn something from everything that happens. So this is the reconciliation phase. How do we take, what it is there and then make it, make it work for us? So the feeling here is peace and confidence, because, everything's opportunity. There's nothing to, to worry about. We can either turn that into win-win situation, or we can say, hey, no, I don't think this is a good deal. Then let's not even do it. You have the power to say that. And the action is acceptance of, what's changed, what comes in, and then learning, accepting what's the current situation, and then you use that to capitalize the opportunity for you to learn. So the advantage at this level is that people are able to generate ideas and seize opportunities and purpose in every situation. And since the focus is on learning from the situation, so they take nothing personally. So this is, I think, where the peace and confidence part actually comes in. And the disadvantage is that people can see so many opportunities that they might overthink things and experience paralysis by analysis. And in that case, they might be disengaged from their emotions because they're only focused on analyzing the situation. And sometimes a high level of optimism can cause people to take too many risks. So how does level 5 energy show up in you? Or if you have questions, you can ask at this point too.
I think another drawback or con to this level, although I like this level, is that if you see it might not be analysis paralysis, but you get so excited you can get overwhelmed by that. So it's sort of like you wind up back at level 1 because you're overwhelmed by all the possibilities.
Interesting.
I mean, you're not at level 1 for the same reason, but you're still,
yeah. So what you're mentioning is kind of like balancing out, right? Like I think it's interesting because I think many of the entrepreneurs kind of like see in this default, this energy as their default as well, because there are just so many possibilities and opportunity, especially at the early stage, right? How do we go after every ideas or not, you know, things like that. So it can really cause, you know, taking too many risks, things like that, not leaving ourselves the space to really step back and say, hey, actually, let me, you know, use my logical thinking, my, you know, all other components in here, instead of just like feeling like too impulsive to like act on all opportunities. Great. Anyone else want to share? Or in the chat? Okay, Liz.
I don't know if this is relevant. I think it's really hard for me to relate to this one. Maybe I'm always further back, but there was a moment in my life where I couldn't study what I wanted back home in Colombia. And I just saw it as an opportunity to expand what I call home, I guess. Even though it was a scary moment, I'm gonna go to another country to find what I really want to. I felt a lot of peace, like I was on the right track, and that was one of the few times that I remember feeling like this.
Yeah, great ideas. So we will talk about this in a later slide, like what does that mean to like different things like leadership, etc. So being able to really being adaptive, right, to what's happening, you know, right now, especially I think on the stress bingo, right? So many people check, oh, constant change, right? So one thing at this level is to, one, accept that change is constant, right? So we don't fight with like the fact that, you know, that what just happened. And that acceptance also give us a bit more space, right? To really think about, okay, so given that situation, like what would a win-win look like, right? That's the main question we can ask ourselves, right? What's the learning? What's the opportunity here for me or for, you know, the other parties, things like that. Great, thank you for sharing. Okay. All right, I'm gonna move on to the last two levels. So we talk about level 3 to 5 is the phase of self-mastery. And the last two is the phase of self-transcendence. And it's transcendence because you transcend your ego. So in that sense, like, you know, who gets a win doesn't even matter anymore. And you succeed in become one with really like everything around you. So and at this level, we start to get into really like being like inspiring to others. Great. So level 6, I'm like, if I can have a magic wand, I want all the managers resonate at this level. Most of the time, not all the time, because we're human. So level 6, the lens is synthesis. And the win-lose analogy is everyone always wins. And this is where the core thought is openness with strong connection, because this is the time when our intuition comes alive. We believe that everyone's gifts and talents come together as a unified whole. So at this point, the feeling is, you know, pure joy. We feel like we're in the zone, in the flow. As a result, you know, we feel like even greater connection with others. So the actions is really experiencing the moment and being really present and leveraging everybody's gift and talents, and to, you know, to innovate, to, you know, create things that benefits everybody. So the advantage at this level is that people are intuitive, they're empathetic, and have ability to feel and connect without judgment. So at level 6 and 7, there's less or to no judgment here. So as a result, there is a sense of joy and satisfaction really in whatever you do. And the disadvantage is that when we always resonate at this level, people might not appear to be grounded. So they can be seen out of touch. They may be like really high risk takers and acting on impulsive, intuitive impulse without balancing their intuition with logic and emotion. So when I talk about different levels of energy, and I want you to believe that we all have it. So for this one, the example, for example, for me can be, while I was doing, I'm doing yoga, or if I work on a project at work, with other people, where I can really like stay focused. Another great example by one of my clients, he says when he play music in a band with others, right? So I'm curious, where do you notice level 6 energy showing up in your life or work? Volunteering work, yes. Anything else? Same community service. Pat. Yeah, so see, like the common thing here is the connection with people, right? And in that sense, it's almost like you don't even really like think too much about like the outcome, etc. You're just like being in the moment, doing the things with other people. Yeah, relationship, friendships. Yeah, that's why I say like I really hope people resonate at this level most of the time, because this level is really the level of joy and happiness, things like that. Yeah, focused conversation with a small group at work. Yes. And when we like brainstorming, right, we get to leverage other people's gifts and talents. You're like, so many people together just create that magic that, if only one of us will be hard to get to. So this is absolutely, great example for level 6. And, as I kind of like bring up those examples from myself, from all of you, you can really start to think about, okay, when you're under stress, right, what kind of things you can do or tap into to help you kind of like raise your energy level at that point also. So that's why I think like you having a clear idea of, how does those levels show up for me, right? It will be easier for you to like think about that situation and, be right there. Great. Any questions before we talk about level 7? No. Okay, great. So level 7 is the lens of non-judgment. And at this level, winning and losing are illusions. And non-judgment is actually great because we see nothing as good or bad. And it is it has like many aspects, because we have like no judgment of ourselves. Think about how great that would be. And we have no judgment of others, right? Wow, oh my God, you are where you are supposed to be, right? You get to learn what you're supposed to learn. How great that would be. And also non-judgment of the situations, right? Like the environment we are in, right? Like the politics, things like that, complete non-judgment. How much less stress we'll all have and peace we'll all have in that sense. So the core thought here is unconditional love and objective thinking. The feelings are absolute passion and fearless. So the action is focusing on creation and genius thinking. So at this level, really, because we see nothing as needs to be fixed, right? And we see nothing as having problem. And instead, we believe that we are the center of the creation. So we get to create whatever we want. And at this level, no human really completely resonates here, but with practice, everyone can learn to access it. And the best part is when we can get to this level, we can also use other levels at will. So we can experience what we choose to and co-create our life experience. So level 7 really gives people the feeling of completely freedom. The advantage at this level is that people have the ability to connect with their inner genius, and they're basically connected to an intelligence of the highest order. The disadvantage, however, if anything, there is less emotional drama, as nothing is seen real, right? Which is why there are 6 other levels. In that sense, you can be perceived by others as being disconnected. And this level is usually what people have most difficult to connect with, but we all have it. So for me, a great example is when I do meditation. I can feel that connection to, something that's bigger than me, or even when I just like hike, in nature, the sense of self just melt away, right? I don't care about information. I don't care about whatever. I feel very connected, like to this world, to this earth. So there's this like unconditional love, toward everything happening like on this earth. So that's usually like where I feel it. So I'm curious, do your best. Like, where do you think, level 7 energy show up in you? Morning walks, reading books. Great. Yeah. Friendships. Walking the labyrinth. Great. So again, I'm seeing, okay, so one thing here is I see the action of creating, right? In your morning walk, in reading books, or in creating that friendships, that really like satisfying you in a way you can feel that unconditional love around your environment and with yourself, and probably with your friend too, right? So that's a really, really good place to be in. Great. Cool. All right. So this is it. This is what we talked about from level 1 to level 7. And yeah, so looking at this, we kind of probably get a sense that we all have our kind of like default level that we show up with when, things are going well for us, right? When we're on a good day. And we can probably also tell, who are those people, or yeah, where does some of the people resonating at as their default. So like, for example, if I say Yoda, what level do you think Yoda resonating at as default? Any guess? 7, yes, level 7, yeah. And then how about Trump?
just my opinion.
1 and 2, yes, yeah, definitely a lot of 1 and a lot of 2. I probably the strongest is 2 because of the conflict lens, remember? Yeah, and even like it's really interesting to think about this, like Elon Musk, maybe. Like what would be a default level? This one gets trickier because he also have evolved over time. And seriously, like whatever you enter here, it might be right, because we all kind of like goes up and down. It's more like what we perceive the most, how does people show up the most, right? Great. So let's move to the next one. Okay, so I want to show you this concept. So this is the Energy Leadership Index assessment. Basically cover what we talk about, level 1 to level 7, and on the top is energetic profile, and this is actually my profile. I took this one 3 years ago when I first learned about energy leadership. So on the top is how I show up on a good day, and the length of the bar is the amount of energy that I have. So from this bar, you can see 3 years ago, my default was level 5. So usually when things are going well, I go there, and my next one is level 6, and the trajectory is level 1, 3, and 7, and usually the lower one wins. So at that time, even though I'm taking my a lot of coaching course, learn about all this fascinating stuff. At work, I still have tons of level 1 energy that can show up. And on the bottom is energetic stress reaction. So that happened when I encounter a stressor, then I leave the top chart, I enter the bottom one. So you can see the bottom one, when I'm under stress, I have, oh my God, 55%. That's my default. I'm like, I'm a victim. This, this work sucks. I'm just so drained. I don't have energy to do anything. And that's exactly why, I start my coaching journey. And I actually took the same assessment again early this year. And I can see my default shift to level 6 as I do a lot more work with myself. And then when I'm under stress, my level 1 start to shrink to like around 35%. And I have a lot more access to other higher level of energy. So I thought this is quite fun to observe yourself, because like while we all coming, feeling stressed, but I know like when we are feeling good on a good day, we all resonate at a higher level, right? I think that's oftentimes that's how we really like get to where we are, right? So I think that's important to notice kind of like the differences when you have that fingers in your rib or not. And it is a choice of, how you show up. Great. Any question on this one? No? Okay, great. So I also want to bring you through an example. How does the 7 energy levels apply to the leadership? And so we will have a bit more examples and understanding. So the first one, level 1 is victim, right? Stuck, lack of choice, I have to, fearful, right? So this kind of leader basically occupy the position but do nothing, right? They only think about themselves. They don't have any energy to do anything, right? So that's do nothing leadership. And level 2 is conflict, competitive, resisting, and anger. And it's actually quite toxic to have this kind of leader in the org, right? I've kind of experienced personally, I've seen a few leaders like this. And level 3 is the level of rationalization, coping, taking responsibility, tolerating, but the end goal still is to ensure we get to a desired outcome. So we can be like manipulating people or the situation to get to what we want. So at this level, it's actually very transactional. And I've seen a lot of managers sit here from time to time. Cool. And level 4, level of concern, compassion, service to others, and forgiveness. So this is the servant type of leadership. And I think like for many managers, the default is here. We always put others in front of us, but definitely remember yourself is also in that equation. Great. Level 5, reconciliation, win-win, solution focus. You have sense of confidence and calm. So it's really adaptive type of leadership. I don't know if you have the experience where, you know, it doesn't matter what happened. There are just some leaders seems to be able to keep their calm and really, you know, find out, helping the team together, things like that, to find like what's the next best thing for herself and for or himself and the team, things like that. So it's very adaptive. It's always like solution focused and create like the best outcome there. Level 6 is really like very lean on like intuition and visionary. And so this is a type of transformational leadership. I have experience with some leaders, like when I just talk, you know, 15 minutes with them, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so inspired, right? I want to do so many things to change the world, things like that. So at this level, I thought about maybe like Simon Sinek is a great example. So this is level 6. And level 7, absolute passion, complete non-judgment. I call it authentic leadership, but it's really like, I don't even think like that the term leadership would be kind of like in the head, because it's all about like creating. And authentic part comes in because there is no fear, it's fearless, right? So we believe that we are the creator of our life. And in that sense, you know, we show up 100% and we do what we believe, you know, and create what we want. So that's authentic leadership. So I kind of throw it out there. Any questions, or any of you want to kind of reflect on how you might, or you think others, you know, kind of like show up at different levels? Pat?
Yeah, I was thinking, I was struck with, you might want to be at a certain level, but the team might not be there, or some team members might not, you know, I mean, you kind of have to calibrate to others' energy levels, right?
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah, exactly. So completely right, which is why having this awareness is important, right? If you resonate at level 6, in some way, you might be able to help people raise their energy. But if they're, for example, at level 1 or 2, what they need might not be, you know, immediate jump in their energy, right? So in that sense, like finding ways, maybe like we can talk about responsibility, we can talk about, you know, like what do they really want, in a way to bring them a little bit higher. Maybe not resonating at the level that you go in. The key is with the awareness, you can choose really like which level of energy you want to show up with. Like I think like as a coach, this is particularly important because like I meet where my clients are in a way that I speak in a language, you know, that they can resonate with, that, you know, I can build that connection with them, and then, you know, slowly kind of helping them, you know, go to where they want to be. Yeah, so you're completely right. It can be mismatch. And the key is if you choose, you know, to connect them at level 3 instead of level 6 intentionally. Yeah. And yeah, Divya, yes, I will be sharing the deck afterwards. and with the links to the some other bingos that I've been creating for you all. Really. Any other questions?
I guess you mentioned that
Mhm.
we will have all these levels of energy at some point in time.
Yes.
So I guess when you talk about these 7 levels of energy on leadership,
Yeah.
How does that kind of relate to, like, you know, do we just be these kind of leaders at some point in time, or?
Yeah. Well, it depends. Because energy level oftentimes I think is a choice, right? Of course, like we kind of like have default resonating energy levels. But I almost feel like in a way, okay, it's interesting. Okay. Let me explain it this way. We all have 7 levels of energy. And if we think about leadership, right? And when I talk about leadership, it's not only leading the people, it's also leading yourself, right? So if our default is level 4, when we have the default is servant leadership, right? Like whatever you need, let me help you, right? And when we're overwhelmed, we drop into victim, right? And we feel like we're lacking energy. And in that sense, one is like we could hide it, really, right? Like when, especially at level 1, we want that space for ourselves because we just don't have energy, right? Even maybe when we're in the victim mode for a while, I need that hour to just do nothing, right? So that's at that time you're being that. It's either for you or for your team. Right. And if, we drop our level to level 2, oftentimes sometimes it's even like something we might or might not be able to control, right? Like when we're all of a sudden like getting angry, right? We could raise our voice, we could just, talk back on something that we might later regret. So this is kind of like how we can hide it, we can react, given different situation. And that's all, combination of like how you're showing up to others and to yourself. Yeah, so again, like the key bringing back to this is that conscious choice, right? Like who do I want to be, and what kind of leaders, what kind of leadership do I want to exhibit, right? For myself and for my people, right? Great question.
Thanks for answering.
Yeah. Great. I love the discussion. Any other things?
I had a question, Van. How do we make sure that we are like rising from lower energy levels to higher energy levels? As I said, jump is not easy, right? But for us playing different roles, different things are different. So is there an exercise that we could do?
That's
change our energy levels.
Yes, such a great question. So which is why like I really want to leave some time for coaching. Actually, do you have one example that you're like at lower level and you're like, oh, how do I raise to a higher level?
So there are days, especially with, COVID, everybody was working from home, and then now we have to go to office few days. So obviously the days we go to office and with having, kids pickups, drop off, office responsibilities, home responsibilities, by the end of day, it's like literally drained off. Many times, as you said, kind of irritable, but the kids are so young, you don't want to kind of raise your voice, but sometimes you do, and you feel guilty about it later.
Yes.
So, how do we handle the situations? And I don't know, when we know that something's might happen, these days, what do we do to avoid those situations?
Yeah, wow. I hear you, and just hearing you describing it, there are so many, right? And no wonder that, you know, by the end of the day, you're depleted, right? You're like, oh my God, I don't have enough energy to give, right? And that's so normal given like so many things that's going on and so many things you want to take care of, right? So if you think about it, the at that time, the default is probably level 4, right? Kind of like as the start of the day, you know, you have the energy to take care of like responsibilities, work, etc. And then it's kind of like continue dropping, right? And when the time you start to feel overwhelmed, then you drop to level 1, right? Like, or level 2, kind of like if you're like, oh, I just don't have time for this, right? Things like that. So one thing is what's screaming at me right now is actually 2 things. First one is acceptance. Accepting of where you are, because oftentimes we get to even lower level because of the guilt, right, that we have, and the judgment that we have around the thing that we're not doing, right? So oftentimes when we're at work, we judge ourselves of not being with family, vice versa. So in a way, it's so hard for us to be present, right? So one thing is accepting that, you know, you are where you are, and that is completely normal, right? So even like having that acceptance for yourself, I think it's, oh my God, like so much more added stress, just kind of like release a bit, right? Like you have so many things going on for you. And of course, you feel stressed, stretched, and you don't have enough to give. That's completely normal. And after that acceptance, I think another thing is really good is connecting back to your why, like your purpose. Purpose can be, I think, level 5 or 6 in a way. When you connect back to that purpose, right? Why do you care so much about, you know, performing well at work? What's your purpose? You want to answer that?
You're asking me, why do I care if I'm at work?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, I do care because I think I've invested a lot. I think, as Liz said, left a country to come to a newer country to experience opportunity. I was on a visa status. I'm still on a visa status, tried to change from visa to a working visa.
Yeah.
Switched from tech consulting to product management. So I think I've invested so much, so I don't feel like giving up. I feel like I'm on the path, so why give up? You know, just keep going, doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like a first thought process that comes into my mind.
Yeah. So you see, the key is to connect yourself back to why you're doing it, right? Because you are there because of your own choices, right? Something must have worked for you and where you are. That's why you're still there, right? We're all, you know, insanely smart people. So I know if anything, if we need to, you know, change job or whatever, we can all do that. But you choose to be there. And in a way, that gives you a lot of power. That means if things doesn't work for you, you can always choose differently, right? So the power is on your side. So really connecting back to why you're doing this, right? That really gives you a sense of, okay, this is my choice, right? Immediately you move yourself out of that victim mode, right? Do you feel that?
Yeah. I think that's a good way to look at it. You know, you have options to choose from, and you're choosing this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like you see like many different ways. I'm just like asking different questions, right? Different perspectives to look at basically the same thing. But always like asking yourself, especially when you're stressed, like I said, acceptance, don't push it away, because what you push down grows, right? You want to be there. As one thing I did with you is to acknowledging you, right? And in that sense, it feels so good to be heard, right? So if you have, the reports were at level 1 and 2, you can do the same thing, acknowledging and validating, right? It feels so good to be heard. Of course, you feel that way. I see you. That doesn't mean you think, what they do is right, but that's their world, right? Acknowledging it. That's a really good step. So, for any of us who want to move ourselves up, acceptance and try to connect to our own purpose. And at level, for example, like if you want to go to level 5, a really great question is, okay, what's a win-win look like? What would win-win look like in this situation? Right. And then from there, you get to, when you ask different questions, you think differently. And level 6 is, or even, let's say level 6. Given the situation, what do I want to create? Right. Everything is about create that transformational experience, right? So there are like many ways we can really like ask different questions to help us, but still key is to really like be with yourself, forgive yourself, and have self-compassion with it. Great. And thank you for sharing your example. I'm thinking, okay, I might be able to talk to one more if any of you want to, or have a situation that you want me to help you kind of bring through. Okay. If not, we can move on too. And we kind of did that coaching a little bit. So, all right. Can you put in the chat, what's one insight that you have like for this workshop? What you can bring with you?
Sorry, that applies to like my personal experience from what I've learned.
Yeah, the beauty, I think I really enjoy this framework because it really can apply to, life and work, everything. Yeah. Right. I don't see anything coming yet. What's one insight? Too many? Or yeah, put one that's still out to you the most. You're like, oh my God, like I never thought about that. Or wow, I can now look at things in a completely different light. Yeah, awareness of different energy level and recognize that you have the power to move up or down. Yes, exactly. Thank you. I was thinking back when I first learned about this, what would be my insight? I'm like, my world just exploded. It's very hard to think about one insight. Okay, but yes, I love that a book that mentioned that quote, Viktor Frankl, between stimulus and response, there is space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and freedom. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I really love this quote. If anything, I would say, yeah, the biggest insight for me is the choice that we all have, right? And it's just so much more power that we can take back when we think that way. Great, cool. So let me stop sharing this one. And I think the last one we talked about was light bulb moment for me. Yeah, moving between level through acceptance and thinking differently. Yeah, yes, Nibi. I understand why I feel so tired and hopeless at work sometimes, most of the time at level 1, and I consider the best level for concern about my team. Yeah, yes, that's why it is so powerful, right? There are so many things that we get to do other than just, having too many concerns around people. So some of you also ask, like, how do we increase our energy level? So I created this. Anabolic bingo for you. So I want to bring fun into my work, and I'm really having fun, creating all these things for you all. Now you all know what's anabolic, and I intentionally, leave a few space open because we all get energized somewhat differently. So, and also with that stress bingo, whenever you're like, oh, I'm stressed, also take out this bingo and just look at it and say, okay, which one I can do right now? Or which one I can do today? And fill in your favorites. And I want to make it more fun for you. So the first person who come back to me with a line draw, I'm going to give the energy leadership assessment as a gift to you. Sounds fun? At least I'm having fun. All right, cool.
Did you say we fill out the empty boxes with things that we enjoy?
Yes, because I want you to make it work for you. Those are the things I know work for me, and even, some of the questions. But yeah, we all, are shaped somewhat differently. So I want you to also have that space and creativity to say, okay, what really energized me? Put it there. I love. Yeah, so you're already putting there. Yeah, I'm going to share this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. Not right now, because I know when we're stressed, we need to take time to maybe, drink more water or take a nap or hug people we love, right? So you can do this actually after this session, and, bring it back to me when you have at least one light cross. I would love to see that. Okay. So let me start sharing. That's the really like the last one. Okay, I have one more, but it's not for me, but yes, for me too. Okay, so lastly, Needy created a survey, so it would be great to get some feedback from you all, to see how you enjoyed it, what we might need to what we can improve. And then if you volunteered to invite 5 other women and non-binary engineering leaders to CTO, you can either invite them directly to the Slack channel or ask them to fill out the form, and the link is also on the survey. Yeah, this is why I really enjoy groups, group program or group coaching, because like we all learn from each other. And me being an introvert, sometimes I love to just sit in the back seat. But in the group session, I still learn from other people, and that's the best part for me. Great. And my last question would be, what's one action that you can take or you want to take, after this workshop that's gonna change everything? Or maybe not change everything, but one action. Play anabolic bingo. Love it. Yeah, I'm gonna print one out for myself also. Because I want to be a great leader to myself. Yeah, I love that. And I especially love, Lise, when you say, I'll forgive myself if it's not perfect. Yeah, there is so much power in acceptance and forgiveness. And this, well, I call it anabolic bingo. It's really about self-compassion, right? Great, thank you. Anything for you, Pat? Okay, great. Practice applying the levels to myself and others in conversations. Yes, yes. Start seeing the numbers on people's forehead. That's what happened for me. Oh, level 3. Oh, Great. Accept the situation for what it is and work on my response to it. Yes, Nivi, yes. Actually, since you're with me, we have like 4 more minutes. The one thing I found that's really good not to react. One is, like I say, having pause yourself when you're stressed, having that awareness, especially I think as the energy level kind of like comes in, when you have that awareness, it really helps you to pause. Right. And the other thing I like to do when I feel like I cannot just, brutally like move myself to a higher level, I do things that help me get to my own body. So even when I am at work, there are tips like for example, if I'm doing this, I can do it, under the table. And it actually, you all can do it with me now. And even with your eyes open, when you feel like you're triggered, you're being hijacked at work, in meetings, you feel like, oh my God, I so want to react to it, right? Put your attention on the tip of your fingers. And that really brings you back to your body. And I think that kind of shift in energy really make it different for me in terms of not like reacting immediately and giving myself a little bit more space. And if this is not for you, you can also wiggle your toes and find as many toes as you can, with your eyes open with other people. No one knows what you're doing, but you're like, okay, I'm slowly back to my body. And that's in that sense, then you're not so heavy here in your head. And that's the whole point. Yeah. And then you can think about, what I want to do now. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Great. So this is it. This is the time. Thank you so much for, like being with me and being like engaging until this time. I know after a long day, it is hard. So I really appreciate all of you to be here. And I'm gonna share the resources that I teach in here in the Slack channel later. All right.
Thank you.
Play that anabolic bingo and come back to me. All right. I will see you around. Okay.